We are all the way here.
Well, hello, Joseph, and thank you so much for all the good energy that I have been really connecting with this past week. It's been amazing. Um, One thing that's come up is I've been thinking about creating, and I've also been thinking about like not creating. And there feels like there's this sense of constriction that perhaps is unique to me that prevents me from kind of letting go to create sort of, I don't know, rules, beliefs,
You're always creating.
okay.
And if you're feeling that constriction, you're
Yeah.
creating more of the constriction.
Okay.
So there's always motion because there's always attention because there's always energy moving. So you may not be creating in the direction that you know you want to be flowing into, but
Right.
you are at all times creating. Fundamentally, you're creating that state of being, and that is having an effect on your thoughts that continue to be drawn to you and also your future experiences.
So if I'm creating though without being aware of it, so sometimes when you feel this sense of expansion and you feel this like impulse like to go outside and soak up the sunshine and just be light and joyful and free, that feels like an expansion, that feels like freedom, that feels like, but then other times I'm not aware of the sort of day-to-day constriction that I might be feeling, that I'm not allowing myself to do that, you know what I mean? So I'm wondering about that awareness, like why would I not even have the awareness? I know I'm having the awareness now, which is awesome, and there's a sense of freedom and so release in that way, but the it's almost like you could walk through your entire life without being aware of the constrictions.
Yes, and that's what many of the sort of greater problems that go on a global scale are, because that's happening at all times to most people. There is an energy flowing, and most people are not in that exaltation of allowing the energy to flow freely through them. And even you're not, and no one is always in that state of being. So if you do not have the awareness, then it is very easy for you to blame outside circumstances, for you to look outside of yourself and to say that all of these things are the reason why I feel this mounting pressure. And then you start to take action to try to compensate for it. But that process is very unsatisfying and it doesn't lead you where you want to go.
Right. Okay. So unsatisfied, just for a second, say, I'm in that
Mhm.
sense of unsatisfaction, whether I turn that inwardly and I point it at myself and I judge myself or whatever it might manifest as. And then um, I come to an understanding or a knowing that I am more than that, that I am this conduit for eternal energy, this creator. And yet, still bound in some ways by the old patterns and the old beliefs. But yet, little by little by little, I'm expanding, right? Um, or it could be leaps and leaps and leaps, whatever. But for me, it's kind of been little by little. Well, then I reach this point where it's sort of like now I know, like truly know and trust that I am this creator. And the only thing that is holding me back is me. But if I'm not aware of what it is that's holding me back, then it's sort of like looking at myself from the outside in a way, that
And so, what you're doing here in this conversation is you're giving a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and a little bit
right,
of this and a little bit of that. So, even when you're talking about not understanding fully your state of being, you're still energetically involved in the process. And that sort of back and forth then plays out as a greater feeling of lack of understanding. So that's exactly what's going on in the sort of miniature scale. And then it gets more exaggerated, which is a good thing because then it becomes more clear for you to be able to discern the difference between those two states of being. But we want you to be able to catch it in that early stage. And so what you're talking about is, again, a little bit of it's working, a little bit of it's not quite working, but I kind of want it to work, but it's not always there. And sometimes I know what's going on, but other times I don't. And in that state, you have a back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So the resolution to that is decision, it is intention, it is a focusing of energy. And when you make the decision that I am going to be aware of my state of being, then it starts to bring all of that to the forefront. And in the same way you've used that to create specific physical experiences, you're also using that to affect your state of being, because a creation is a creation. Your intention set energy in motion. And so when you place that intention, I intend to be aware of my energetic state of being. I intend to lean more fully in the direction of being consciously aware of my creative process. Well, it starts the energy flowing in that direction. So then it becomes much more discernible, even still more discernible when you are in that flow, because again, the energy has set the intention has set the energy flowing in that direction of that resolution. But then everything that is standing in the way of that intention, as with all things, will reveal itself to you. So it's the same creative process, whether you're talking about what you would call a physical experience or an inner awareness or a
Mhm.
state of being.
Mhm.
So you place the intention, and all of the places that you have not been aware, all of the places that you have sort of put to the side, or
Mhm.
that you were maybe saving for later, or that you had just consciously or unconsciously overlooked, and
Mhm.
even consciously overlooked, will come to the surface. And so it is that creative process where you're recognizing all of the places that you have not been aware. It's coming to light. You're becoming aware of them because of your intention. And then you can make further decisions as to how you want that energy to continue to unfold.
So as the energy unfolds in an uplifting kind of energetic way, and I continue on with that expansion, and I perhaps I have, a wonderful experience of just feeling, like I'm shining brightly, which, I've had like this feeling of light and nourishment and beauty just shining through me, then I'm feeling that sort of, I'm not in that state of, what we were talking about before, constriction. So so that but then why would I go back to that state of constriction when I've had this amazing beautiful experience that is so freeing, so powerful, so joyful, so incredible?
Well, that question in and of itself is not the most productive thing that you can be asking yourself. But the
It's not.
reason is because you've placed that greater intention, and there are still aspects of yourself that haven't been resolved.
Ugh, I didn't want
Because
to
if
hear
they had been resolved, it
that.
wouldn't be coming up. If it had been resolved, you wouldn't have any emotional activation around it.
Okay, I hear you. I'm totally with you on that. And the point that might need to be resolved is my doubt, as simple as that, or my mistrust of, you know, my ability
You
or
could call
my,
it whatever you want,
yeah,
but you experience it as the feeling. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's really just a matter of identifying and then releasing it. So you've had these moments of exaltation, and then something comes in and you feel sort of a shutting down or a clamping, which is
yeah.
what is happening. An old belief is coming in and it is sort of holding on to your process and weighing you down. Just briefly describe that feeling for us.
It's like a feeling of what is that feeling? It feels tight. It feels like ugh. Feels like um what does it feel like? It feels like I don't like being in this place, or it's not comfortable, or or what, or I want this to change and it's not changing. Maybe that's it.
So just recognizing that feeling
Hmm.
allows you to identify it when it's coming up, and it doesn't remain as this sort of unrecognizable force that is, how do I deal with this force? It's
Hmm.
just a thought, it's just a process, it's just a belief, it's just an approach that continues to come up, and that's something that you can do something about.
So it shifting back into that sort of higher frequency, or that higher feeling, that almost, expanded bliss like state, is that the I find myself wanting to do that, that feels like, you know what, I can feel this joy, and that's what I want to do, and that's where I want to be, and I want to just, let that flow. So it's as simple as that. It's as simple as saying, look, I was having this feeling of restriction or constriction or yuck. And, you know, and that isn't my reality anymore. My reality is more one of joy and expansion and openness and trust, and just letting go of the crap, and, you know, feeling the good energy, in my breath and in my body and in my mind.
And that recognition allows you to choose.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think I'm trying to make it a bigger deal than it really is. And
And
that,
you see how that state of being matches that overthinking.
yeah, it does.
It's and it doesn't matter what you call it. It starts out as that subtle sort of back and forth. I can argue this, I could reason that. I've seen this, but other people have experienced this, and what about this? And these people are saying that. And it is that subtle tug of war again that then, as you continue to play that game, amplifies itself, expresses itself as a greater feeling of amazing connection and horrible restriction.
Yeah.
But it starts out as a very subtle choice.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
just have to recognize it in the early stages. When it becomes exaggerated, that's when you want to ask for assistance. When it becomes exaggerated, that's when you want to figure out what to do with it. And at that point, it's so exaggerated. There's so much energy added to it that you just need to sort of talk yourself down a little bit till you get back to that neutral, relaxed state of being. And that's where, if again, speaking of that fork in the road, you walk back, walk back, walk back,
Hmm.
recognize the choice as you just spoke to us here. You recognize the two different states of being, and then you follow down the other state of being. And that's the process for shifting any of your beliefs as they come up. First, you have to have the awareness, and you have that because you recognize the feeling, and that's an awareness. That is the awareness that's most important. And then you identify it, and then you just relax and let it soften a little bit. And then in that process, you come back to your center, and then you're in this sort of still place.
Hmm.
And then you continue to maintain that. And because you're in that still, open, and receptive place, the inner energy has been waiting to flow through you. And because you're in that receptive place, then you can start getting another little thought, another little thought. And before you know it, you're well on your way down the other path that's going to be much more enjoyable. But every time you have that feeling or any feeling like that come up, it's just because there's still something there that you haven't shifted.
Hmm. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. And um, one of the things I noticed, so just the metaphor of going down that path of, you know, feeling more joyful and, at peace and loving, this little thing that creeps up is sometimes about, well, don't get too far ahead of yourself, because something is going to happen that's not going to be, what you want. It's sort of and now I recognize that little voice that is just kind of pulling me back, as that I was calling it the constriction or restriction, but really it's just sort of a nagging kind of pattern or habit.
And you see how when you make the decision to come back to that still place and to make the choice, all of that stuff reveals itself to you. That's
Yes.
really what we want to emphasize about this, is that when you shift your energy and you're flowing with that inner energy, that's what we call resolution. You
Yeah.
didn't have to figure it out. You didn't
No.
have to consult the psychology books or talk to the lineages of psyche and all of that. It all becomes clear when you
Yeah.
make your priority that energetic shift.
Right.
Period. And the same is true in regards to all of the physical aspects. It's true in regards to everything. This is just another application of the same creative process. Whether you were talking about your body and you were not feeling well in your body and you shifted your energy, and in that process, you had all of the realizations of all of the things that would make your body feel wonderful, or whether it's finances and you found yourself without enough, and then you shift your energy and you're feeling wonderful, and then in that process you have the new ideas and all of the opportunities reveal themselves to you. It doesn't matter what the outcome you think you want is. What
Yeah.
is important is that you're doing this energetic process, because that's going to tie up all of the loose ends for you. No matter, in other words, it can sound very personal and it can sound very specific to you when it is things like this, and you really want to know yourself and confront the shadow self, or whatever people want to call it, but
Mhm.
it all takes care of itself. Now,
Mm.
if you're trying to mess around down that path, in other words, I don't like this path, but let me go a little bit further down just to see how far it can go,
Mm.
and we say you're just getting further away from that state of being
Mhm.
that is going to allow you to get to the resolution. But you have to almost convince yourself that it's
Mm.
not about figuring it out, it's about allowing the resolution.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's a really important point, Joseph. It's about allowing the resolution, because that's the energy then moving forward through me, with me, as me. Yeah, I hear you. So then another question comes up, and I'm not saying this as a negative or to pull us back, but another question comes up is, here I am in this glorious state, let's say, this magnificence. I recognize it, and I want to create. I want to create something. I want to give myself something that I enjoy, um, and I'm in this glorious state. Do I need to consciously define what that is, or do I just think it? Do I just allow? I know I allow it. I know that's a big part of it. But I guess I was getting a little hung up on, do I need to shape it? Do I need to define it?
The
Or
outcome that you're seeking?
yeah, like say I'm really having a great day and I'd like to go shopping and find a really beautiful dress. Do I need to know what that dress looks like before I find it?
Not at all. You have
Okay.
to set the intention as far as you're able to remain in balance while setting it. So the intention in that case would be, I intend to find the perfect dress. I intend to find something that fits well, that looks great, that feels free, that I can wear to a place such as, or that I could wear around the house or things like that. And so you define as far as you can. And then when you start to feel, well, I don't know if I want it in red, I don't know if I want it in blue, I don't know, then recognize that that is a different energy. That is the energy of not knowing. That is the energy of indecision. And that's when you say, oh, I've gone a little bit too far. And so then you have that overall broad intention, and then it's going to bring up all of the things. In other words, it's the same process. You set the intention, and all of the things that are not in harmony with it are going to reveal themselves. So you may see a dress in green and say, no, all right, the energy's flowing in a new direction. Then you see, oh, yellow, not so much. And then you've refined the focus. What you
Yeah.
didn't want has revealed itself. What you didn't want has revealed itself. And then you see one in red,
Yeah.
and you say, yes,
Yeah.
that's it. And you say, but the fit isn't quite there. but I like that red. And then you, as you're walking through the shopping center, you'll attract to yourself. Just
That's
go
right.
with the flow. You'll
Yeah.
attract to yourself, oh, here's a red one. I don't like that neckline. Here's another red one. I really like that neckline, but I don't like the whatever, the fringe or whatever. And so you're refining, and that's why it's a creative process,
Yeah.
because you're getting the feedback, you're reassessing, you're adjusting, you're recalibrating, you're refocusing, and
Yeah.
then all of that. And the same is true with all things. You're going to be given all of these choices. And the reason you're given all of the choices is because you have not quite made up your mind. And that is a good thing. We want you to be okay with that. And that's the creative process that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
It's very easy to understand when it's something as seemingly insignificant as a dress. And it can seem much bigger when it comes to other aspects of your life, but the process is the exact same.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really a nice, clear walk through that whole process.
Very
That's
much.
awesome. Um, so if I'm still dreaming about a house and I'm still putting the pieces together, enjoying the looking at magazines and pictures and colors and writing and and I'm
The key
still
word there is enjoying, because you're
yes.
enjoying that process, which means you're energetically in the flow of the creative process. If you're frantically searching, if you're searching with the expectation that nothing is going to work out for you and you have to really work to make this work, you see, those are maybe the same physical actions, but the approach is energetically quite different. So the key word there again is enjoying. You're enjoying the creative process. You're enjoying the sifting and the choosing and the gleaning and the refinement. We call that a refinement process, because as you're refining your decision, as you're refining your desire, that's, in other words, you want a house.
Yep.
There are a
Yep.
lot of houses.
Yeah.
So you'll go through this process feeling your way there. All the while, you're registering that energy. You're defining that energy for yourself. And the more specifically you define it, the more specifically it can be received by you.
Yeah. And eternal energy likes that kind of focus, if you will, that
That's all we're talking about. It's the inner energy, the idea. It focuses itself, it gains more detail, it gains more refinement, and it comes into and as physical experience.
hmm. And is it the same thing with health or relationships?
We really mean it when we say it is the
Yeah.
same thing with all things. It is the creative process.
It is the creative process. So if I was having a sore throat and I, um, maybe had some tea and honey with lemon and that tasted really good, and I thought about, oh, maybe I'll go take a nap because I could use a little rest, and then oh, okay, now I'll gargle with some salt, whatever it might be. I'm actually really, nourishing my throat in a way with that creative energy. Then I'm healing, I'm mending, I'm creating that process of clearing that sore throat.
Yes, and in the case of the body, now the specifics will play out differently depending on the subjects, but the process again is the same. When it comes to the physical body, the cells are part of this process as well, and you can feel that communication going on. And it's so simple. Yes, it feels nice to do that, which means that's what the body is asking for, which means you're allowing the energy to flow, which means you're discovering your solutions, and everything is becoming easier. So the physical body, in other words, you're letting the energy flow through the body. Meanwhile, as the energy flows through the body, it brings to itself everything that it needs.
Yeah, yeah. And that can be an impulse or a impression for me to grab a cup of hot tea and sit down, or
Exactly.
yeah. Mhm,
It's your work to just receive it.
mhm,
You've
mhm,
already placed the intention.
mhm. Yep. And in relationships, so if I'm looking for a relationship with someone, that I would prefer to have easy communication, dancing, a dance partner, I have all these sorts of things that I think I might enjoy. I'm not stuck on them, but I'm still kind of mm, anticipating that perhaps. Is that also the energy, like, eh, helping me to focus on things that bring that forward, bring that relationship forward?
Very much so. You'll be given a little bit of detail and then a refinement. I like this, I don't like that.
Right,
I
right,
like this, I don't like that.
right, right. Okay. Yeah, and as you said, enjoying that process, allowing that process to sort of enliven me as I focus on these things is that eternal energy.
Very
Yeah.
much, and allowing the situation to play out, because if you have expectations in terms of how things are supposed to play out,
Mhm.
pay
Mhm.
attention to the feeling. In other words, don't get too down the road making it about the outcome rather than the feeling.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I know, I hear you, I hear your voice in my head all the time telling me that, so I I do appreciate the reminder, though. And but it is such a good reminder because it's so powerful to just be in the moment with that feeling and to just enjoy that and to allow that to kind of be dominant, that it's a very expansive kind of awareness, perception of yourself as a joyful being now, here, in this moment, rather than dependent upon some condition that you hope is going to happen. There's a big difference.
Very much so.
Totally get that. Okay. So just back to creation for a minute then. We're
Just for a minute.
for all of time.
Mhm.
Um, the idea of creating a life that I want to say feels fulfilled, a satisfactory life. It's these minutes coming together. Maybe some of us have these, kind of ideas of what we want to do, like that's really powerful and wonderful. But and it all is. I hear you. It all is that. But at the same time, the day to day, I want to say the routine, as we sit in our homes now and find opportunities to express in new ways, or maybe even um, you know explore something different. Uh, that is also a life well lived, a life fulfilled. It isn't always about um, having built the biggest business in the world, or I don't know. I'm trying to put perspective, I guess, in creating for a life well lived. And I know I have some beliefs about what that should be. I can hear myself. But at the same time, isn't there sort of isn't a life well lived one that's free of self judgment or self doubt, or, you know, where you have a sense of who you are and you feel good about who you are and you care about, I mean, or is that just my definition?
Well, we agree with you, but it is not, it does not look the same for all people, the specifics of it.
Okay.
You gain your bearing through this refinement process by having that intention to have a life well lived.
Yeah.
Well, it's also going to bring up all of the aspects of your life that are not well lived. And that's
Yes.
when you want to ask us all these questions. That's when
Yeah.
you want help figuring it out. That's
Yes.
when you want perspective and all this. And we say, just recognize it and allow it to shift.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I have all those questions. But if I didn't have all those questions, I don't know that I would. See, that goes back to my original thought here. If I didn't have all those questions, if I didn't have all those, like, I want to know more. I want to know what it's like to feel the energy of source, like, flowing through me consciously, like, almost like moving objects with my hands. Like, it's that intense sometimes, like, I want to like feel that power of force. And I guess maybe that's what I've come to believe that is going to be my life, like it's kind of my goal, or not my goal. It's sort of my, I don't know. It's like I know that can happen. I know that's an expression, like this energy, but I want to know it. I want to feel it. I want to ah I don't know how to describe it.
And so what you see yourself doing is describing something. What we see you doing in that process is working it out energetically. You said, I want this, and I want this, and I want to feel this, and it would be great to have this. And that's where we want to say, keep going, keep going. But you said,
Okay.
but, and then there was a moment where you went back to the sort of hesitation. And we want you to recognize when you're doing that, because it's not just a sentence that you're giving to us right here, right now.
Yeah.
It's your life every
Yeah.
single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's
always that choice. It's the but or the and when it
yeah.
comes to the energy. I want this. And then we want you to tune it up even more. So I intend this because I like this and I like this. And it would be nice to have this. And I've seen this and it feels like this. And it could look like this, or it could look like that, or it could look like this. And I want it because of this.
Mhm.
And then to catch yourself saying, but I'm always doing this thing where I don't know if the energy is flowing, and I don't know if the energy is flowing, so I don't know if things are going to work out, and I don't really know what I could do to make the energy work, and
Bleh.
I know it should be working, but I don't know if it will be working. And then we say that feeling right there
That's it.
is
That's
it's
it. That's it, Joseph. That's it. That's it. It's
so that's
almost
why
like I
we
want to
talk
bust
about
a
our
move.
yeah.
I was gonna say it's almost like I want to just like bust a move and just like a rocket,
Yes.
That's the feeling sometimes. Like there's just this rocket that's like,
Well,
and
the
then
energy is flowing very quickly. And so that's why we call it a refinement process, because the more refined you become in this process, the faster the energy moves. And that's when things can come into your experience much more quickly. So if we're talking about the house, for instance, you recognize this. I don't want this. I do like this. I like this many windows. I like this many rooms. I like this color. I like this type of location. I like this
yeah,
air quality. I like the south facing window. I like for this room. I like the north facing window for this room. And you become more specific as
yeah,
that process is occurring. The energy is flowing faster and faster and faster. And you know that's happening because your emotion becomes more potent and more potent and more potent.
right.
And the consequence, the inevitability of that is physical manifestation. The more specific you can get in your own consciousness, the more specifically you'll see it shown back to you.
Hmm.
But that does not mean that you need to rush into specificity. It's to enjoy the process as you're defining it.
Okay. Sometimes I can't sleep because I'm like jazzed up, or like I can feel energy. Like, is that normal to have that kind of?
Normal, not so much.
Not so much?
It's
No?
not normal. There are
Not normal. Oh, you mean not normal. Yeah.
not normal, and that's a good thing.
Right. Right. It's like, "Oh, no, no, what am I doing?" Yeah, not normal. Okay. Yeah, because like, I'll get in bed and I'll think, "Alright, well, it's time to go sleep right now." And then I'll have like, "Oh, no, but I wanna go write, or I wanna go dream, or I wanna go look at the stars," or I just it's sort of like I'm still, like, being, energized in a way.
It's normal to your eternal self. It's normal to this inner energy. But what is normal in the physical sense is the exact opposite of, oh, I wish I could sleep, but I can't stop worrying about this. How am I going to fix this? I don't know what's going to happen with this. And so that's what's normal. You don't want to be normal in
No.
regards to that.
No, that's not the normal I want. I used to have that. I don't want that anymore. No. Uh-uh. No, but like I'll look at the moon and like through the window, and like there's just this beautiful brilliance, and I'm like, I'm so excited that I'm awake right now. It's sort of like silly. Not silly. It feels really good. And so I feel really blessed actually that I'm not sleeping in that moment. And but then I wondered, uh-oh, maybe I've taken it too far, but there we go again. There we go again. There we go again. Yeah. There we go again. Yeah. I just
So
saw.
that's the awareness. That's what
There we
you
go.
wanted from this discussion. That's the awareness.
Thank you. I'm aware. I see it. So, yeah, to the moon and beyond.
So let's take this conversation as an example of how it all works. At the beginning of this, you came in, you had a clear intention. I want to understand. I want to have this awareness. I want to be aware of when I'm not aware so that I can have this creative process. And then you started flowing in that direction. But what came up throughout this conversation were all of the places that you've held on to some indecision.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. It is good to have recognized that, yes, because you're confident in your ability to release it. That's what we're here to help walk you through.
Yes.
But you're able to appreciate that these sort of indecisive beliefs, these indecisive aspects of yourself come to the surface. And that's a good thing. It's not to push it away, but is to accept it and to recognize it and to release it and to allow that to shift and change. So then it comes full circle at the end of this conversation where you are here, where all of those aspects have come up, then you release them. And then you're even looking out into your life and seeing, oh, that's where the awareness is. That's where the awareness is. That's what it means. And so it is the awareness of the awareness of the awareness of the awareness of the awareness, and so on and so forth, that generates energy. You feel how having that awareness, recognizing the choices that are available to you, focus the energy, and it lets the energy keep moving. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I absolutely, I absolutely feel grateful that I appreciate that it's exactly what I wanted and asked for. And it allowed me to move through so much just in this conversation, just in this exchange, which is beautiful, which feels like I can just keep going. Like,
And you
that's what
will.
I want. That's like, this is what I want. I want this, like, amazing. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It feels great. And I feel very empowered. And that is so cool. It's just like, all right, well, I, I could do anything.
And we want you to identify with that state of being, because
Yeah.
this isn't just some temporary aspect of yourself that you're focusing on. That's the broader understanding. That's your inner energy. That's what we call your eternal self flowing forward. And it says exactly what you just said to us.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
It says that too.
Thank you, Joseph.
Very
You're
much.
awesome. You're so awesome. Thank you so, so much.
Very
I
much.
appreciate it.
You're calling it forward. Your
Well,
intentions are going to bring the resolution to you. We're just one aspect of it. Yes, it's going to come from all different directions of your life, so just be open and be aware and enjoy the process.
I hear you. Okay, I will. I
Very
am.
much.
Thank you.
You are. Anything else here?
No,
We are
that's it.
complete. Hi.
Hey, Aaron,
Hey,
thank you
hey.
so much. That was
You're
so
welcome.
powerful.
I felt like that was a really good, like, kind of explanation primer. I like that one a lot.
It was. It was really clear. And, they just went through it like, just straight through it, like clear, head on, moved right through it. It was awesome. It was,
Awesome. It felt like a
it,
masterclass. I
it was,
love that they'll like turn the conversation into an example of what you wanted to talk about.
yeah.
It's kind of out there. I
Oh
love it.
my
It's
gosh.
crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's, they kind of like come around again at the end and they say, well, see now, this is what you wanted. This is how we worked through it. And now here you are. So yeah, it was wonderful.
Awesome.
It's really, I can't wait to listen to this one again. This is so, so, so cool.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, keep it
All
coming.
right. More where this came from.
All
Awesome.
right. Well,
Talk to you
take
soon.
care, Erin. I'll
Yes,
see
you
you
too.
soon. Okay, I will.
Excellent.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.